Coming up in a moment. Oh, what an honor. The book is Amarillo Slim in a World Full of Fat People. The Memoirs of the Greatest Gambler Who Ever Lived. That's who you're about to hear from. Thomas Austin Amarillo Slim Preston, 74 years of age, is a fast-talking, colorful Texas gambler and poker ambassador who won the World Series of Poker in 1972, never without his snakeskin-wrapped Stetson and custom-designed cowboy boots. He lives in Amarillo, Texas, is 6'4" and weighs 170. He is skinny. He's so skinny, he looks like an advanced man for a famine. Despite his string bean build, Amarillo Slim is larger than life and considered around the world to be the greatest gambler of all time. The greatest gambler of all time. What kind of things has he done, to give you a little taste? He played Minnesota Fats in one pocket with a broom. In one pocket, playing one pocket with a broom. He took 21.5 points on the Jets and won a six-figure bet on Broadway Joe and Super Bowl. That couldn't be three. Oh, maybe it was. He made a cat pick up a Coke bottle. This is one I got to hear about. Made a cat pick up a Coke bottle. He bet on which sugar cube a fly might land on in an Arkansas jail. Therefore, he won the World Series of Poker. No small matter at Binion's Horseshoe in 72. He beat Evel Knievel in golf with a carpenter's hammer, betting 2 out of 30 cab drivers in Dallas would have the same birthday. He beat Bobby Riggs playing ping pong with a skillet. Beat Willie Nelson out of $300,000 playing dominoes in Vegas. Played Bob Stupak, my neighbor over the hill there, pitching coins for $65,000 at the Rio in Las Vegas. Played Larry Flint, heads-up poker, at the Phipps Club in Los Angeles. Betting a prominent politician. Betting a prominent politician? Yeah, that George W. Bush would win the 2000 presidential election and a whole lot more. In fact, they've got 21 listed here of the crazy bets and crazy things the man you're about to hear from has done. In a moment, Amarillo Slim. Now to where else? Amarillo, Texas, and here's Amarillo Slim. Amarillo, welcome to the program.
Good to be here, bud. What's going on?
You at the moment, my friend. I spent 18 months in your fair city back in the days when you used to have an Air Force base there, Amarillo Air Force Base.
Well, yeah, but when Lyndon Johnson failed to carry Potter County, well, our Air Force base got phased out.
I recall. I think last time I was there, the only thing left were a few red and white towers out there where the Air Force base used to be.
That's about it. But Amarillo's a good town. Hell, I've lived here nearly all my life.
I met a pair of really good-looking twins in Amarillo, so I remember that place for a long time. Why?
Well, you should, because our population's been the same the last 30 years, never varies. Every time some woman gets pregnant, some man leaves town. So Amarillo's just been the same forever.
Why are you a gambler?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Why? I mean, it just seemed like it come pretty easy for me, and that's soft as butter for me. I enjoy it.
Yeah, but I mean, there must be something in your psychological makeup. You must thought about it from time to time. Why do I do this? Why am I a gambler?
Sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes, and today it's a bad thing. My gosh, look what Southern Cal did. That last field goal, you'd like to go spend what it cost me. I had taken 22 points on that game.
So you haven't let up at all, have you?
No, that's for women and children. Nobody gives up. Hey.
I would love to hear. Your book is out. How is your book being greeted? By the way, folks, if you go to my website and just click on Art's webcam, I'm holding a copy of Amarillo Slim's book, picture of him right up front. And so there's a lot of really cool stories in this book. Let's talk about a few of them. I mean, you played Minnesota Fats in one pocket with a broom?
Well, yeah. When in my youth, I was professional billiard player. Uncle Sam sent me all over the world giving pocket billiard exhibitions when I was only 17. And when I came back from Europe, I ran into Fats at Perth Amboy, New Jersey. And we played, and he beat me out of a good-sized figure, but a little later on he found out he should have won about 5 times that. So that's got him a couple of sponsors together, and they come to Amarillo to play me some, and I matched a proposition game with him, a game that I had practiced for a long, long time. And there was a handicap involved, but Bass was a good player, but what he smelled cooking wasn't on the fire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. A broom.
Well, yeah, just like you sweep the floor with, and bless his heart, he left here scratching a broke tail, and I felt it was good for him. I liked Fats. I was one of the few people that liked Fats, but we knew him as New York Fats. He only became Minnesota Fats after the movie come out.
Oh, the movie did that to him.
Yeah, we knew Fats. I played Fats in New York, and I played him in Atlanta. I played him in Hot Springs, Arkansas. We'd played several times.
You say you were one of the only people who liked him, huh?
Well, yeah, because he was he was stronger than Nellie's breath. That son of a gun was well, I liked Fats. Hell, he was okay with me. Very few people knew his name. His name was Rudolph Walderone, and he was a showman and a good one. In fact, he told me one time I played him an exhibition in Reno and sculled out on him. I couldn't beat him at that time. And he says to me, "Say, you skinny cowboy, if you want some notoriety, go set yourself on fire." So I thought Fats was all right. That suited me just fine.
He was as good as his reputation says.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
I'm a cat person. I own 4 cats, and so when I saw that, you made a cat, you bet somebody that a cat could pick up a Coke bottle. Now, cats can't pick up Coke bottles.
Oh, yeah, I've done it several times in my life. I make the cat pick up the Coke bottle, made it take up the elevator to a parking lot and put the bottle on top of his car.
What?
I made the cat...
Yeah, I heard you. I just said, I'm saying, like, how could you do that?
Well, all trappers don't wear fur caps. And early me and this man had been playing some high golf, and one evening we always went to the office bar that way in a lounge there in New York, and when we did that, if anyone had a phone call, they'd say, "Where are you?" Well, we was always at the office. You know what I'm saying? So now I had given a newspaper kid a $50 bill that morning and told him to catch me a cat. He said, "What kind?" I said, "Just a grown cat. I don't care if it's I don't care what it is. If it's just a grown cat, not a baby kitten." So he caught me a cat, and I had stationed this gentleman on the outside of the booth where he'd be sure and see him. Had he been unable to see him, I would have pointed him out to him, but he saw this kid threw this cat in the lounge where we were. It was the office. And he said, "My God, what's a cur cat like that doing in a nice place like this?" So I leaned completely over him and saw the cat, and I said, "Well, that's a real smart cat," and just sat back down. And he grabbed me by the shoulder, and he said, "What do you mean a smart cat?" I said, "You can tell by the width of the distance between his ears that he's real intelligent." Well, I'm a non-drinking stiff, so I was drinking a Coca-Cola, which wasn't out of line. And I said, "Well, I bet I can make that cat pick up this Coke bottle and take it up there on that parking lot and put it on top of your car." Well, man, you could hear a mouse wet on cotton. It got just as quiet in that building, so naturally they sent and got a yellow legal pad, and they wrote out stipulations as to what you could and couldn't do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the way the bet would come down.
Sir?
I'm taking it, you mean the outline of the bet, exactly how it would come
yeah,
down.
Because I couldn't, I couldn't tie it to him or something, so none of them covered what I did, and so I was real sure that the cat would.
How much money was on the table over this?
Oh, man, we bet enough $100 bills to burn up 30 wet mules. Everybody in the joint bet me. But see, you take an empty Coca-Cola bottle and snap the cap back on it and just hit it with your hand. There's a very, very slight, minute indentation where you open it. It raises the edge on that cap.
Yeah.
You grab a cat by his tail. And I had some welder's gloves stashed in that place. And you grab him by one hand by the tail, and he'll turn over and scratch you. You put both of your hands on his tail, right at the base of his tail.
Yeah.
You can keep him off of it. Well, at every entry to any restaurant or lounge or bar or business or anything, there's generally a tile surface, especially right in the front of the cash register.
Yeah.
So I lay this Coke bottle down, and I drag this cat. When you drag him, he grasps at everything. He lets his claws out, and he's trying to get hold of anything.
That's right. They'll grab on to anything.
That's right. So I drag him over the bottle. It doesn't take long, and his claws will catch on that indentation.
Now, you knew this because you'd done this a whole bunch of times. Obviously, you weren't just...
Oh, I wasn't flying by the seat of my britches. I knew that cat was going to pick up that bottle. So when I pick him up by his tail, as long as I'll hold on to his tail, he'll hold on to that bottle. And we went out, and we opened the elevator, and everybody got in that could, and the rest of them climbed the stairs. Took it to the top of the parking lot up there, and when I turned loose of the Coke bottle, he turned loose of when I turned loose of his tail,
He turned loose.
He turned loose of the bottle, and there it was. So I felt it was good for him because they should have known he was a smart cat, but they looked at the width between his eyes.
Well, they should have been looking at your eyes, probably.
Well, that doesn't do them any good because I'd only let them see what I wanted them to see.
So there's a lot more than betting and gambling, especially this kind of gambling, than just betting. I mean, there's one element of showmanship. There's one element of,
there's a little bit of deceit, a little bit of
I was going to say grifting.
Well, yeah, because, see, some of the things, the only one I ever did that was just an out-and-out, I'd call damn near a swindle, was about that eating a quail a day for 30 days.
Yeah, what was that all about?
Well, all my life I've heard that you couldn't eat no one could eat a quail a day for 30 days.
Why not?
Well, that meat's too strong. You get to where you can't even walk in the room where it's being prepared.
A quail a day, 30 days, yeah.
I know an attorney in Austin that bet a big figure that he could, and he didn't do it. I know about 20 people that tried it, and no one ever did.
And couldn't do it.
So a friend of ours bought the Holiday Inn Casino in Reno, and a bunch of the bosses, and then some of us peons too, we went to Reno to welcome him to Nevada. And he said, Slim, get us something unusual for dinner. So I sent back home and got some turkey fries. None of these guys had ever eaten turkey fries. So one night then I got some calf fries, and I sent to Louisiana and got some frog legs, a bunch of old spoiled millionaires sitting around there. And finally he said, don't you have some quail? And I said, yeah. So I got us a mess of quail. So he volunteered it. It all come up on the natural, and when it comes up natural, it's always a certainty to become a reality. You know what I'm saying?
I think I do. Yeah.
So Tom said, these are real people I'm talking about. He said, Slim, do you think you could eat a quail a day for 30 days? I said, hell, I know I can, because I knew about it. He said, well, you only win a couple $100,000. I bet you can't eat a quail a day.
A couple $100,000. $200,000 on that.
Well, yeah. See, those kind of people aren't on any budget.
Well.
So that's not an out-of-line wager.
No, I know it isn't. I know. I've been watching some of these World Series of poker tournaments, and I want to talk to you about that. It's insane.
Well, we get a stack of $100 bills out there the show dog couldn't jump over. When I left the World Series last year and went to the host opening of a new casino in Colorado, I put $8,320,000 in $100 bills on the end of that poker table.
Oh my God!
We had 832 players post $10,000 apiece to play in the tournament. That's $8,320,000. Man, that's got some whiskers on it.
Oh yeah, it sure does.
Anyway, let me finish.
Go ahead and finish up. Yeah.
Story about this quail.
Yeah.
So anyway, that night we went up. We had adjoining suites, and about 2:00 in the morning, Benny come in. He said, Slim, you awake? I said, to hell no, go on back and go to bed. Let's get some sleep. He says, I got a chore for you. And I said, what's that? He said, you got to find a way where a man can eat a quail a day for 30 days. I said, well, Benny, you can't do it. I said, I know a lot of people have tried. He said, I've heard that all my life. But he said, now, you will find some way for a man to eat a quail a day. I said, I don't know. He said, well, I'm designating you a job to find a way to do it. So about 4 or 5 months later, by sheer accident, I was in Roswell, New Mexico, trying out a new cutting horse. I had him in a round pen there, and I told the cowboy that brought the horse over there, I said, open that gate there for me and let me show him a little bit of country. He said, well, Slim, just go down, when you get out the gate, turn right there in that pasture, and said, you're going into about a 3-section pasture. I said, I'll see you later. So I loped down at the end of that lane and started to step off the horse to get open the gate, and this guy said, oh, Mr. Slim, let me get that gate for you. So this guy opens the gate where I can go out in that big pasture, and I said, how in the hell did you beat me down here?
Yeah.
He said, what are you talking about? I said, well, you just let me out of that round pen down there about a quarter of a mile. Or he says, that's my twin brother, identical twin. I said, Lordy, 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 look here.
Now
the light really come on.
So
boy.
apparently you can eat a quail every other day.
Oh, no, I'd let one of them eat it for about 3 days and then go to a dark movie or something, and the other one come out and he'd eat them for 3 or 4 days. And then
Now, see, that's pretty close to a swindle.
What did I just tell you?
You did.
I told you, but see, that's a case of using your head instead of your rear end anyway.
Oh, well, that's true.
I thought it was so much fun because when this guy, after about the 12th day, and this guy looks like he's doing all right with it, but these folks that wagered, they couldn't swallow boiled okra. It looked like the wheel had already run off, and I enjoyed that one because it was a little. Well, I guess you could say it was unethical. I don't know. I just.
Will you gamble? You gambled on a fly landing, right? While you were in jail or something?
Well, I wasn't in jail. I've never been incarcerated.
Never?
No.
Well, now,
no.
see, that right there is something interesting. You've never officially been in jail. That's
right. I got a call from a little old town over in Arkansas from the sheriff, and he said he had he was a big drug lord in his jail, and he had an awful lot of money on deposit, and he wanted me to come over there and see if I couldn't find some way to beat him. So we agreed to cut it like a watermelon. You know how you cut a watermelon, don't you? I do, right down the middle.
Oh.
So I went over there, and they determined that if I smoked in the hall there at the courthouse and couldn't pay my fine, that they put you in jail for a couple hours.
Uh-huh.
So I lit me a cigarette, and I was unable to pay my fine, so it looked like it was on the square. And they put me in there with this fella, and we were sitting on the edge of a little old, well, I guess you'd call it a bunk, because there's one below and one above. And there was a little bench in the front of us, and this guy knew who I was, or he'd heard some stories about me, and he said, my God, I bet you could get us some coffee. I said, well, probably. What you want? He said, man, I'm a coffee hound. I know you are. Let's have some coffee. I said, okay. We hollered for what they call the jailer. That's the guy with the keys, I guess.
Mm.
He come back there, and I told him we wanted some coffee, and this guy said, Slim, I use cream and sugar both. So I said, well, can you get us some cream and sugar? And the guy said, yeah. So he brought us some, but the sugar he brought us was lump sugar, cubes.
Yeah,
You've
cubes,
probably
sure.
seen them.
Yeah, of course.
They look just like a paradise. They're just a little, well, that's what they look like.
Paradise. Yeah, they do.
So it wasn't real sanitary in there anyway, and there was some flies buzzing around. So I thought, well, looky here. I've already got me a way to break this cat. And so I put 5 of these sugar cubes on this little bench right in the front of us, about, 2 foot in the front of us.
Hold that story right there, Amarillo. Back to Amarillo Slim. If I got this right, there's a guy in a jail, right? A whole bunch of money, and they're going to split that watermelon right down the middle, and so he gets himself tossed in jail on some smoking infraction, then gets in the jail. He's betting with this guy, and he says up a bet, something about sugar cubes. So he had sugar cubes there, right?
That's right.
And so what was the bet?
What he had on deposit, but after he got told a lot of times, a lot of people thought he had more on deposit than he did. He had $37,000.
$37,000. But actually, what was the bet?
$37,000 and whatever odd change he had.
No, that's the money. I meant, what were you betting on?
Well, I put 5 of those sugar cubes out there on this bench.
5.
And he said, what do you mean? And I said, well, you see those flies? I said, I'll bet I can tell you which one of those sugar cubes the fly lands on.
Yeah.
He said, well, you've got it. I said, well, not even money. There's 5 of them. Even money would be 4 to 1, but I'll take 7 to 2. I knew he'd fudge. You know, he wanted the best of it, which is 3.5 to 1. So he didn't disappoint me. He said, no, I'm not going to lay 3.5 to 1. I'll lay you 3 to 1. I said, well, have you got anything? Of course, I already knew he had. So he said, yeah, I'll lay it for what I've got on deposit. I said, well, you haven't got glass pockets. Let me see a receipt where I can tell what you got on deposit. Of course, I already knew. So I designated the cube it would land on, and we wagered.
Yeah.
But you see, sugar, just in its normal form, one of those sugar cubes is just like a teddy bear. I'm looking at one on the TV or a picture or something. It's nothing but to a fly. But if you'll moisten your finger and wet that sugar cube, it'll dissolve a little bit of it. It gives off an aroma. Now, when it gives off an aroma, Mr. Fly, he doesn't even see those other 4. They're just like that bench. He just dive bombs that cube. My God. You could have played gin rummy on this man's shirt tail. It'd stick in my foot out when he threw up that feet. But I knew which one that fly was going to land on.
And it did.
Well, it always will.
That's something to remember. So you just put a little water there on there, a little bit of spit on the end of that thing, and
that's exactly. Well, you know it dissolves it.
Oh my!
Well, when it evaporates, well, naturally it gives off a sweet aroma.
Amarillo, what's your wife's opinion on your lifestyle, the way you live?
Well, I guess she thinks I'm a pretty clever little fella because in my youth I used to make some trips and they weren't all positive. But it was very seldom ever asked, and if it was, how did you do? Even if I had a bad trip, I'd say, oh, I beat these folks. So there wasn't any need of me being a burden or a hardship on my family over my gaming.
Listen, I've been watching these poker tournaments, and
yeah.
Man, Amarillo, to play, I understand these are good poker players, but my God, people laying down sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars on, like, no hand. You would have to have, I don't know, great big giant brass ones to play in a tournament like that. Those people are crazy.
Well, let me tell you, years ago, I was a guinea pig for a thing that they wanted to do, and originally I turned it down, and then a friend of mine got me to go ahead and do it. They put some monitors on me, like they strapped on those astronauts.
Yeah.
And they wanted to show why, under duress, I didn't show any emotion.
Right.
Is the way it was kind of worded to me. And, hell, I could look you right in the eye, and, it's just like that guy that stands there and he swears to you it's raining outside, but all the time he's wetting on your leg. So, I don't know, but it takes a different breed of cat. See, everybody moves their chips up and down. You watch these tournament games, which you're doing, and so is everybody else in the country. All these guys shuffle their chips straight up and down. Well, everybody can do that, but it takes a different breed of cat that can move them chips out there in the center without a hand. Now, anyone can if they've got the nuts or a cinch hand or a good hand, but I respect a guy that can bet all of that without having a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I tell you, it's a pretty tough go. Everybody asks me about they wanted to become a professional poker player or something, and my suggestion has always been they get them a driver's license and go to driving a dump truck. What the hell? They have a guaranteed income, and it might be easier because this is no life for the weak at heart,
I guess not. Listen, my wife is, she dealt in Las Vegas, and she's got a question for you.
Come on.
She wants to know why a woman has never won the World Series of Poker.
Well, I know what this is leading up to.
Well, no, you don't, because even I don't. Why hasn't a woman ever won? And do you think one ever will?
And see, y'all are going back several years ago when that lady got hold of she got hold of 700,000 or 800,000, about 800,000 in less than 2 hours in one of our big tournaments. So I was doing an interview with UPI in there in the sombrero room during a break, and naturally she stuck her goat-smelling fanny right in the middle of it and said, well, looks like, Slim, I'm going to find to be the first woman that wins the World Series of Poker. Now, I did not say if a woman wins it. I said, Vera, well, I said, Miss, if you win it, you can take a dull knife and cut my throat. Well, by the time guys like you got hold of it, I was quoted as saying, if a woman ever won it, they'd cut my throat. So every year during the World Series of Poker, some lady will get hold of a few $100,000 or hell.
No, Amarillo, listen to me now. I wasn't going down that trail. I wanted to know, I mean, why hasn't a woman won? I mean, just the plain odds. It's got to be something different.
I just don't think a woman, here, see, I'm going to catch hell from them again.
Yeah.
I've kind of got an agreement with the ladies. If they won't do any gambling, I won't have any babies. And I'll stick to my part of the deal. But I do say this, that's the only place in the world I can beat a woman and not get thrown in jail. So I welcome all the ladies to play.
Yeah, but you still haven't answered the question. Why do you think one hasn't won? What is it about a woman playing poker that's different?
I just don't think they've got a heart as big as a pea. And under duress, I think they'll give it up. Maybe they won't. Now, wait a minute. I know a lot of good lady poker players. I know a lot of good would-be lady poker players. In fact, the best lady poker player that ever lived is a girl named Betty Carey. She hadn't been around the last few years. She went to Alaska and played, and she got herself completely rich now. I think she's living in Montana. But she played about 10 different guys in Vegas head-up poker and beat every one of them. And I'm talking about top-water players. I'm not talking about somebody that's running around looking for $100,000 to get in a game with. I'm talking about successful players. So she called me and said, I'm ready to graduate. And I said, what do you mean? She said, you're next. So I didn't disappoint her a damn bit. I went out there. In fact, she and I played right after my first tournament at the Hilton. And I treated her like a stepchild. But I'm your hand. And that's the psychology in poker. So somebody told her that I knew her hand. I mean, not by deceit or deception. She had a tell on her, and that's why I say there's a lot of psychology to poker.
Yeah, now a tell is something that somebody does. It's a giveaway, right?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what it is now that everybody knows about it now.
Okay.
When we sat down to play, she played me a $100,000 freeze-out. You had to play with somebody who won or lost it. In other words, you couldn't get winner and go to dinner. You had to stay and play. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So prior to playing, they're going after the chips. Well, it takes them a little while to get a couple $100,000 worth of chips and get a couple of decks and a dealer and everything. So after I said, I'm a coffee hound anyway, I said, Betty, I'm going to have a cup of coffee. Would you like something to drink? She said, well, thank you, Slim. I said, I would. I'd like some hot tea. So they brought her some hot tea. While they're getting all this ready, and I'd finished my coffee, I looked at her and I said, Betty, how was your tea? Ooh, the tea was very nice, Slim. Thank you very much. I enjoyed it. Well, in about 40 minutes after that, a pot come up that the show dog couldn't jump over. I mean, it's really in Technicolor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I say to her, Betty, how do you like your hand? She said, oh, Slim, this is a real good hand. Well, I know that's not real lies. You understand? That's not what she said about that tea. And that was on the square. You know, she didn't know that was a trick for her.
Oh, that's a tell.
So I called her.
Yeah.
And I called her with the weakest hand. I called her with 2 5s. Now, I'm talking about something that a couple of years good salary, you know. And it got awful quiet in that room. But I knew her hand, so word got out. Some stupid in her tattletale went and told her what had happened to her. So the next time she played me again. Next time she played me down at the Golden Nugget. Yeah, I know it was. And they had told her that she couldn't talk to me, so she showed up with one of them little old discs that plays music and headphones over both ears.
Yeah.
And I was at a disadvantage because I tried to get her to talk to me, and she was told if she talked to me, she couldn't play anymore.
Wow.
But I liked Betty. Betty was a good player, the best woman player I've ever seen.
When you win a bet, is it most times intuition, skill, or luck?
Well, I don't believe in luck. I think you make your own luck in life.
Make your own luck, yeah.
No matter whatever your endeavor is. If you're a farmer, you'll be a lot luckier if you'll spend more time on that tractor than you do down at the golf course.
I've got a question, and maybe you can answer this. No one has ever been able to for me. You know what a card counter is, of course, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, okay. Card counters are banned, I understand, from Las Vegas casinos on a regular basis. They just don't let them in. And I have always wondered, Amarillo, what's wrong with card counting? This is something you're doing totally in your head, right?
Well, let me tell you, I was a guinea pig for a program called 60 Minutes. You may not be familiar with it. It comes on
I know the program.
Sunday night.
I know it. Oh, yeah.
And I was supposed to have not been able to play, and the Nevada Gaming Commission made a ruling that I could play, and I played at the only place in the world where I could have bet what I did, and they filmed me playing 21 for a lady. Now, this lady was square as an apple box. She didn't know. She thought the king was the ruler of a foreign country and the queen was his bedmate. She didn't know a thing in the world about cards.
Yeah.
And and that tight-ass producer gave her $200. Well, I'm supposed to take this $200 and make this lady win some money. And I put it on 29,800 for her in about 3 hours. And she showed no excitement, no elation whatsoever until we got ready to go to the cage and cash it in. And she is shaking like a leaf. So I know there's 16 people in the world that's barred all over the world.
16 people, huh?
21.
Yeah.
They're in the Griffin book. And people can win.
I understand that. I just don't
I don't
understand
think they should be barred.
on what basis they're barred. I just never have been able to figure that out. I mean, this is a talent. They're just doing something, the math in their head. Well, anyway, I'll never get that. Listen, what do you think of... there's a new gambling world here. I mean, there's online gambling. There's casino resorts. We've got Indian reservations now. Is Las Vegas and I guess Atlantic City going to get hurt by all this?
No, it just creates more players.
Yeah.
See, I'm fairly close to that gaming industry out there in Nevada. And I remember when Atlantic City first opened, everybody thought that it'd take off maybe 20, as much as 22 or 3 or 5%.
Didn't happen.
Of Nevada's business. All it did was increase it.
Yep.
Because it creates new players. And now those blanket-ass Indians have opened up a casino. Everybody that's got a Ubangam tribe has got a gambling license, and I don't think the poor old Indians are winding up with them, but there must be. I hosted the opening of 14 different Indian casinos the last 2 years, so they're everywhere. And I think, I really and truly think they'll break the whole world.
Do you think Las Vegas, of course, you know Las Vegas used to be an adult playground. Now it's like Disney Vegas. I mean, it's changed. I mean, they used to throw around the drinks and the cigarettes, and it was just a different kind of place. And now...
It was a better place then, though.
You think so?
Yeah, when the mob run everything back there, well, you're safe walking down the street, and you wasn't going to get hijacked in your room, and just ordinary folks that had maybe 20 or 30,000, they got their room comped and food and beverage and everything, and now everybody's there's no camaraderie. You're not an individual. You're a dollar mark walking around.
Yeah.
Hell, I'm involved in. I know some places out there where with a $100,000 card you can't even get a room during Chinese New Year or the Super Bowl or New Year.
No, that's true. No, it's still successful. I mean, Las Vegas it's growing like crazy.
Successful? My God, I think they're gonna. I still think they'll break the whole world.
Eventually, either Vegas or lawyers.
Well, yeah. Now I'm sick of the lawyers. They milk me like a Rocky Mountain goat. My titties gets a sore, can't button my shirt. So I know about the lawyers.
Yeah, I bet you do. They take a third of everything, and my theory is eventually...
You're cutting out just a little.
Well, I said they take a third of everything, so my theory is eventually they'll have everything.
Well, yeah, I guess the only lawyer I've got out... No, I was friends with a lot of them. Your mayor and I are pretty close. I know he come out to the Jim Miller show and introduced me and told a bunch of lies, what a good son of a gun I was, this, that, and the other. But
What do you think is the hardest bet you've ever won?
Oh, the only time I ever risked anything other than money was when I bet all that money I could go down the river of no return. What the hell? I didn't know you couldn't do it till after I'd already bet. Then I went and had Jacques Cousteau make me a wetsuit that would keep me alive in that water for up to 15 minutes. By then, I'd already chartered a couple of helicopters to hover on the serious part of that river.
You're a cross between a gambler and Evel Knievel.
Say, I like that boy, too. I've done some awful dirty things to the little feller.
Yeah, you won some. you beat him out of something, didn't you?
Oh, I have really been a hardship on him. But it was good for him. It kind of builds character, and he is a character anyway.
Well,
I'll tell you what I did. One day I beat him down in Dallas playing golf with a bow and arrow. I'd already beat him playing with a hammer, so I played him some with a bow and arrow.
a bow and arrow.
So now I thrashed his little fanny. So I was a guest speaker at the pole bowl banquet that night. And after we got through yakking up there and everything, well, he would come around and he said, "Gee whiz, Slim, is there anything we can do?" I said, "Well, I don't know." I said, "There's a map of the United States and a telephone. Call somebody. I play nearly everything there is." He said, "Well, I hate to leave here." So now I remembered some things I had done before. And I said, "How many people's in here?" And he looked around, and we was to Anatole in one of those big banquet rooms. He said, "Probably 150. Why?" I said, "You poll them, not me. And I'll bet out of the first 30 people you go to, 2 of them's got the same birthday." Now, brother, the wheel run off. Everybody in that building except 2 people. One was he was a big shot official with the NFL, and the other one was an NFL owner. Bet me something. They might have just bet 600 or a few hundred or a few thousand, but everybody bet. Well, sure enough, the 18th person that they went to had the same birthday as the second one.
Did you know that beforehand?
Oh, I knew it at work. I didn't know. I didn't put anyone in there. But one of the guys stole my money on the floor. So I know he's dissatisfied. You understand?
Yeah, yeah.
So he's insinuating there's something wrong with it.
Yeah.
So I scolded him and had him pick my stuff up and hand it to me. And I said, "Well, it's obvious you think there was something wrong with it, so let me tell you what to do. You think of some place we can go." I said, "We'll go to a theater, a bowling alley, the police station, anywhere there's 30 people, we'll bet again." Now, one of the wise guys that was down there says, "Hell, why don't we call 30 taxi cabs?" I said, "Y'all call them, and we won't ask them nothing. In Texas, they've got a little identity badge that hangs over that visor."
We're almost out of time here, yeah.
All right, let me tell you. So anyway, we called 30 cabs, and I paid off the last 17 drivers because the 13th driver had the same birthday as the number 9.
In your gambling life, Amarillo, how much money, just guessing, how much money do you think you've bet one way or the other, winning, losing altogether? How much money passed through your hands in bets?
Oh, you couldn't. It's not all wins. See, it's you have some sizable losses too.
Oh, I know. That's what I'm saying. Winning, losing, how much money back and forth you figure you've dealt with?
Well, you couldn't put it in a train.
You can put it in a tray. All right, listen, buddy, we got to take off. We're out of time, but it was sure a pleasure. Thanks a million.